Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2022 Pioneer BH270. Just notice at the back of the unit there, right at the top, you are pre-wired for an observation camera. If you want to get set up with that, you can talk to our parts department and they can get you a quote and everything you need to get set up with that. Right down below that observation camera, you do have this nice rear cargo rack. The way that works is you just got two pins on either side. You just kind of wiggle that out of place, get those pins to slide out. And it does allow you to then lower that rear cargo rack, just being careful because it is heavy. And you have a nice fold down rack. Just keep it in mind, this isn't, you can't put too much weight in here. To get back into place, you're just lifting up, putting those pins back in. And you're back into place. And you just take your other pin, put it on the other side. Then in the back bumper, just pulling this cap out. You get your sewer hose. Once fully extended, it is about 20 feet long. Just take a note of those 2 years there. Those are going to be the same 2 years that are on your sewer outlet. Right here, you do have a cable satellite inlet. You do have a exterior shower right back here as well with an extendable swivel shower head with hot and cold water. And then if you follow, you got your standard twist lock plug-in. You're just lining up that notch there, that bottom notch there. Line those two up, push it into place, give it that 8th turn to lock it in. And then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do find your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home on the driveway and you want to run the fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, we do include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep in mind you're going down to 15 amps of power and you won't be able to run something like your air conditioner off that. Whenever you do have this plugged in, you got a red and a green light. Whenever that green light's lit, it's telling you have a good source of power. If that red light were to be on, that is just telling you have an issue with your source power, not your trailer. Right below your plug-in, you do just have your city water connection. The way that works is if you're at a site with service, you can just thread a garden hose into here, tighten that up, turn the garden hose on. It's going to pressurize all your lines. No need to run your water pump. A little further down the unit, you do have your main sewer outlet. You're just taking that cap, twisting it off. Those are the same ears that were on your sewer hose. They just line up with those notches there. You're just pressing that in place, twisting it, making sure it locks in. And then you got your gray and your black tank. You're always going to want to empty your black tank first. It's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then you can come behind that with your gray water, which is a little bit typically cleaner water, just filled from your sinks and your showers, just to try and keep that hose that little bit cleaner. You do just have this front compartment, lots of storage space. At the front of the unit, you do have your battery box. Inside there's where your battery is housed. And then underneath this cover here is just your two propane tanks. Most of the time, you can just use this quick access panel and do what you need to do, but for the purpose of the video, I will just remove it completely. It's just as simple as pulling up. You got your 2 barbecue style propane tanks, and then you do just have your regulator, and at the top of the regulator, you just have this selector valve. So if you want to run off this tank, you can have it selected on that side. If you want to have it running on that tank, you can have it on that side, and then turn it on. You're just twisting that open. And then at the front, you do have your tongue jack, this little rubber cap. If you were to pop it out of place, there's going to be a little nut inside there. There is a tool for that inside the front compartment. Once you connect that up, you'll be able to run that jack up and down manually in case you were to ever have no power or your jack were to fail for whatever reason. At the front, you do have your front tongue jack. One way is up, the other way is down. Inside this compartment here is where you're going to find that front tongue jack tool, as well as a manual override for your stabilizer jacks. And then you do just have your 25-foot water hose with your 15-foot or your 15 amp park adapter. Both the jacks in the front and the rear do work the same. You're just hitting that button, hit it, extend. Those jack feet are gonna start making their way down. Once those feet both contact the ground, you're gonna hear the motor wind up, and that's when you can then let off the button. So there you go, you heard those feet firm up. Now that's just gonna take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now, and then to retract them, it's just the same thing, but hitting the button the opposite way. And it's gonna suck those feet both up. Don't panic if they go up at different speeds. They won't both come up eventually. Just always making sure you let off that button once you hear that motor wind up. So there you go, you heard that motor wind up. You can let off the button. A little bit further down the unit, you do have your hot water heater little service port. You're just twisting that, opening that up. Whenever you first get to your campsite, you are just going to want to hit this pressure relief valve. There should be a shot of water that comes out of there. This unit is currently drained, so there's no water coming out of there. Telling you it wouldn't be safe to fire up your water heater. You got your main drain bolt down below. That's 1 1/8 inches. And then right up top here, you do have, I'm going to go over a reset procedure once we get inside. The button I refer to is just right here. Just twisting that into place, locked down. Down right below here, you do have your fresh tank drain, which is this one right here. And then you have your 2 low point drains. Your low point drains are just going to empty out all your water lines that are inside the unit. It is always good to do that whenever you're leaving the unit for a while. Just keeps that water from going stale or stagnant. You got 2 110 plugs here, as well as a cable satellite outlet. And then you do have your fresh tank fill. So you put a garden hose in there, turn it on, and it's going to fill your fresh water tank. And then right up above here, you do have your range hood vent. Always making sure that you unclip it whenever you get to your campsite. And whenever you start traveling, it is always a good measure just to lock it into place and close it up. That way you don't let any excess dust or debris get inside. It does just snap into place. You got your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, this is going to be blowing out hot air. Right up here is just your fridge service port. There's not much you're going to have to worry about inside there. And then you do have your black tank flush on this side. The way that works is whenever your sewer is connected and your black tank's open, you can thread a garden hose in here, turn it on. It's just gonna flush out that black tank in case you're getting false monitor panel readings or you're noticing an odor inside the unit. It just helps it keep that little bit cleaner. And then at the very back, you do have your rear stabilizer jack button. That's gonna work the same way as the front one. And then you just have your second entrance to your bathroom in case you don't want people going through the trailer. Get inside the trailer, you're just taking that assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees, and it'll lock into place. Opening up the door, the first thing you're gonna notice, you got your stairs. That's gonna be pretty simple. You pull this latch, fold this down. You do have adjustable feet, just pushing those silver tabs in. That'll allow you to adjust those feet to different height to adjust for your campsite needs. When you walk inside, first thing you're gonna notice up on the left, fire extinguisher. That's going to be simple, just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. And then up on the wall here, you have your slide out button. Hitting that button out, slide out's going to start making its way out. You're going to know that slide out's fully extended when you hear the motors wind up and the clicking. So there you go, you heard that clicking. And then you do just have your awning button right here. So you're hitting that button extend, the awning's gonna start making its way out. You're gonna know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Unfortunately today, due to space, we aren't gonna be able to get this awning fully out. That is about all we're gonna be able to get it out today. But if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, and just pull down on it, and it's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now, if you do like that angle better because it allows for more shade, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just always making sure you push those arms back to straight whenever you go to bring your awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. To get it in, you are just pushing that button retract instead of extend, and it's going to start making its way in. And once it contacts the trailer, you know it's fully in. Your button on your left does your interior lights in the living space. Your button on your right does do a LED awning strip light underneath. And then right down below, you are pre-wired for WineGuard Wi-Fi, and this is the on button for that right here. Not currently hooked up on this unit though. And then you do have your little monitor panels area here. You got your battery, so that's going to go 11.2, 11.7, and 12.3, which should be fully charged. And then you got your fresh, your black, and your gray, which is it goes empty, a third, 2/3, and then full. And then you do just have your water heater and water pump switches on the right. Hitting that water pump switch, it's going to turn your water pump on, drawing from your fresh water tank. And then you can either fire up that water heater on gas or electric. Whenever you do fire it up on gas, you turn that button on. This DSI fault light's going to come on. The water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this light will stay on. At this point, you do just have to hit this button off, go hit that reset button, and then try turning it back on, and it'll try relighting itself. Because sometimes if you have the propane system off, it does take a little bit to clear all the air out of the lines. You do have your entertainment system on this back wall here with a nice little coat rack area with a nice sitting area to put your boots on. You got a TV backer right here. You have a cable satellite outlet with this little button right next to it. Hitting that button, turning that light on. It's just turning the antenna on the roof. Whenever you do have that on, it does also improve your radio frequency, which brings me to your radio. It's going to work just like home, minus the fact that you have Zone A and Zone B. Zone A is going to be your interior speakers, and Zone B is going to be your exterior speakers. Some storage space underneath. We'll take a step into the bedroom. The light switch is just on your right. You got your bed, which does have some storage underneath it. You got sleep app access on both sides of the bed, as well as plugins and little lights on either side as well. And you also have another overhead light for reading right above you. I will also mention that minus the switches on the wall, all the lights in this unit are on their own center push buttons, so you can turn them on and off individually as desired. All the blinds inside the unit do work the same way. They just sit where you leave them, and then close them. You obviously just pull them up. On this wall here, you do have your TV backer with cable satellite inlet, as well as plugins. You got your fire exit. The way that works is you're just going to pull that pin. This screen's going to pop out. You take your handle, you push it out, you can hop outside of the unit. And then you get into your slide out area where you do have lights overhead on their own center push buttons. You can take this couch, pull up, and fold it out, and it'll turn it into a bed. Change that, just grabbing the foot and kind of grabbing the top and assisting it back into place. It folds back into place. Then you do have your seating area, which could also be turned into a bed, just as simply as pulling this tabletop off. You can pull these feet out of their bases, take that tabletop and put it on this ledge, and you take your back cushions to fill in the center, and you can have another bed. Brings me into the kitchen area, where you do have that overhead fan, which has a fan and a light. You have your microwave, which is just like home. You got your sink with hot and cold water. I will mention that inside this cabinet, you got that little false panel right there. You pull that out. That's going to give you access to your hot water heater and your water pump for winterization for those bypass valves. To get the stove going, you're just flipping that glass cover back, being careful because it is glass. For the stove, you're just turning those knobs over to light. You're just hitting the sparker, and they fire right on up. And then to get the stove going, you do just need a lighter. You're turning it over to pilot. You're holding that button in, and you just take your lighter, go underneath. Sometimes it can take a couple minutes just to clear all the air out of the propane lines, so just be patient with it. This time it fired right on up. Once you got that pilot light going, while holding that button in, So there you go, you get that pilot light on, pushing it in for another second and holding it. And then you can turn it up to your desired temperatures and it fires right on up. Then you get to your fridge. You do have a temperature selection for the fridge just on this fin here. The higher you push this white plastic piece up, the colder the fridge is going to get. The lower you slide it down, the warmer it's going to get. Opening up the freezer, no temperature control up here, but you do have your other controls to fire it up. So with that button flush, it's on. If you were to depress that button, it turns itself off. Whenever you have this button pressed in, it's going to go to auto. So it's going to first search for shore power. If shore power is ever taken away, it's going to automatically switch over to gas. If you want it to run solely on gas, you can just depress that button. It'll solely run on gas. If this check light is ever on, it's usually because the gas system didn't fire up. So you'd have to look into that. You do have your bunk bed area with your nice fold out ladder. To get that ladder out, you're just pulling it up a little bit, letting it come down. Just keeping in mind, it does come in line with the slide out. So you do always have to make sure this ladder is tucked away whenever you go to bring that slide out in. And then you get to your thermostat. Hitting that button once, it is just going to illuminate itself. Hitting that button again, you're going to get into fan low. Now that's just going to be running the air conditioner fan. There's no heating or cooling involved. At any point in time, you can hit the plus or minus button, and it's going to change the desired temperature. Hitting that main button again, it'll bring you into it'll bring you into fan high, and then I'll reset that. So you got fan low, then you get fan high. One more time, we'll get you into cool high. So now that's when the actual air conditioning factor takes into effect. At any point in time, like I said, just pushing that button up or down is going to change your desired temperature inside the unit. One more time, you get into cool low. It's the same thing, just on a low fan. Now you get into auto. Whenever auto is enabled, it becomes an on-demand system. So once the thermostat senses it's at its temperature, it's going to turn the air conditioner off. And then whenever it goes above or below the temperature, above the temperature, it's going to turn the air conditioner back on. One more time, it'll bring you over to a cool high auto, which is the same thing but on high fan. And then you get into heat, which will then turn off your air conditioner and fire up your furnace. Whenever you do fire up your furnace and then turn it off, it does take about 30 seconds for that to cool down. Mentioning the furnace and the stove both run on propane. Propane is heavier than air. You got your LP detector down here, which will start detecting. If that guy ever starts going off, you are just going to want to turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit. Just open up the windows and turn on those fans. Let's try and ventilate it out. Then you got your two bunk beds, which do have lights and plugins in both. And then opening this door does bring you into your bathroom. You got your light switch on your right and your fan switch on the left. To get that fan open, you are just twisting that knob and it'll bring that fan open, and you can turn that fan on with that switch. You got your shower with hot and cold water, as well as your toilet, and then you have your sink. And then right on the wall here is just your main GFI plug. You do have test on the left, reset in the middle. If that orange light's on, it's just telling you your GFI is tripped. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd look, just to make sure that GFI isn't tripped. Whenever you are running your air conditioner, you have a few different options you can run it on. You can run it with the louvers open, in which case it's going to dump all its air into the living space, or you can close these louvers and it's going to move all its air through the ceiling ducting you see above head. And the furnace does just move its air through the floor ducting we have. And then last but not least, you do have your little circuit breaker area. Pulling that down, you get your breakers on your left. Whenever a breaker trips, it is just going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And whenever a fuse pops, there will be a red indicator light telling you which one's blown. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.